As a data engineer, whether you're an experienced or not, one of the most valuable skills you can add to your toolkit is knowing how to deploy resources using Terraform. While many data engineers focus on building pipelines, modeling data, and optimizing queries, the ability to provision infrastructure consistently and reliably is what sets apart well-rounded engineers. Let's understand what is Terraform and exactly what it is used for. It is basically an open source infrastructure-as-code tool created by Azure. It allows you to define cloud resources such as databases, storage accounts, compute clusters, and network using simple configuration files. Instead of manually clicking through cloud portals, you write declarative code that describes the desired state of your infrastructure. Terraform then takes care of the creating, updating, or destroying those resources that match your state. In this video, I'm going to show you how we can download and install Terraform locally on our laptop, and of course how we can deploy Azure Resource Group, storage account, and Databricks Workspace resources. Now, before we jump into the demonstration, I'm going to encourage you to subscribe to the channel if you have not done so and toggle on the bell icon to be informed of new videos. Let's get started. As a prerequisite in order to be able to follow along in this video, you need a Microsoft Azure with an active subscription. So I'm going to use this my tenant and I've got an active subscription. So I can say that's here, that's cool. So the first thing we want to do is to download and save the Terraform app in our C drive. So I'm going to come to developer.azure.com/terraform/install. I'm going to put a link of this in the description so they can actually just navigate if you want to download and install. So I can see this page under the operating system. We have the Mac OS, Windows, Linux, and so on. So you want to come to install Terraform. So we have the Mac OS installation package. And I want to go to the Windows at the bottom because I'm using the Windows operating system. So you can download this, but I'm going to download the 64-bit. So click on download and I can see the file here. So what I'm going to do is to go ahead and right click and extract the folder inside this zip folder. So right click and choose the extract all. And I'm going to click on extract. And this has now been extracted. So I can see we have this license.txt, and then we have the most important terraform.x. That is the main application. You want to actually move this to your C drive or in a location that is going to be easier for you. So I'm going to just Control X to cut, and I want to navigate to my C drive, and I want to click on the program files, and I'm going to create a new folder. And I'm going to call this one Terraform and press enter. So I can double click and I'm going to paste this app inside here. So having done that, we need to include the C drive location path in our environment variables. So I'm going to just come here, click on this open space, and I can see the path. I'm going to Control C to copy, and I'm going to open the environment variables. Click on that, and I can go to the environment variables at the bottom. And I'm going to come to the system variables and you want to click on path, double click, and at the bottom I'm going to just click on new and I'm going to paste the path. So we have the C drive program files, Terraform. So just go ahead and press enter and then click OK, and then click OK and click OK. So this has been sorted. Now the next thing I want to do is to download and install the independent development environment that you're going to be using to interact. For my case, I'm going to use the VS Code editor. So I have it installed already, but to download, just go to your browser and click on download VS Code, and you can see this. Just go ahead and click on the download based on your operating system. So in my case, I have it already downloaded. So just click on the Windows 10 and 11. If you have the Mac, go ahead and download this. So once you download this, just go ahead and follow the installation prompt. It is so easy to install. That's sorted. Now, we also need to download and install Azure CLI, which is needed to interact with Azure resources directly from the command line. So I can come to this page. So you can just search for install Azure CLI on Windows. So it is on learn.microsoft.com. And then you will come to Microsoft Installer. And then you want to come to the bottom and just go ahead and download the 32-bit or 64-bit. And then once you have this downloaded, just go ahead and follow the installation prompt. And those are the things you need to install. So what I'm going to do next is to launch the VS Code editor and create a project folder locally. So I'm going to click on VS Code, and you can see we've got nothing. So I'm going to use this upload folder, and this is going to take me to my drive. So I want to go to the VS Code workspace, and I'm going to create a new folder for this project. Let's call this one Terraform project, and I'm going to press enter. And of course, we need to cd into the folder. So go ahead and click on select folder, and this is going to be opened in VS Code editor. Terraform project, nice and easy. So we want to go ahead and install two important extensions, which is the HashiCorp, Terraform, and Azure CLI tools. So I'm going to come to the extensions, and I want to search for Terraform, and I can say this HashiCorp Terraform. So you can read more about this and go ahead and click on install. And of course, I'm going to clear this and search for the Azure CLI tools. This is owned by Microsoft, so this also needed. So once we have these two extensions installed, we are good to go. So I'm going to close all of these files so that we don't get confused, and I'm going to come back to my Terraform project directory. Cool. Now we want to create the main.tf file in this folder, which would contain the Terraform configuration. So to do that, I'm going to click on create new file, and I'm going to call this on main.tf, and as soon as we have tf, we can see the Terraform icon automatically visible, and I'm going to press enter. We are good to go. Now I'm going to use this code to perform the configuration, and I'm going to make it available for you to use if you intend to practice along, and I'm going to walk you through the code. All right, so this is the code to perform the configuration for the Azure provider. So it's basically in three parts. So this part basically contains the Terraform settings, which include the provider, which is the Azure Resource Manager, and of course it includes the Terraform version. So we have this version 3.0.2, and of course this also requires this version 1.1.0. And the second part of the code configures the specified provider, which is the Azure RM. And very importantly, inside this resource group, I'm having this prevent deletion if contains resources set to false. Now, this is really important because when you deploy some Azure resources like Databricks Workspace and you try to use the Terraform destroy to destroy every of the resources you've created, some of this may not actually be deleted. So I highly recommend using this prevent deletion if contains resources set to false. And it's going to be happening within the resource group, which is basically the logical container that contains all the resources we're creating in Microsoft Azure. And then this third part is the specific Azure resource we're trying to deploy. So we have this resource, and then we can see we're using Azure RM, and then we are deploying resource group, and then we have this RG. So we can modify this. So inside this curly brackets, we have the name of the resource to provide, and of course the location or the region we intend to deploy this resource to. So I'm going to just get rid of this placeholder, and I'm going to call this on Terraform RG demo, and I'm going to provision this in the UK South. That's the region I'm located. So once you have this configuration set up, go ahead and save all, and we are good to go. So the next thing we want to do is to launch our terminal in order to be able to log into our Microsoft Azure using the Azure CLI. So at the top, click on terminal, new terminal, and I'm going to just run az log out. Peradventure, I'm logged in. I'm going to just log out so that we can do all of this. So you can say I just logged out successfully. So we can go ahead and use the AZ login, and I want to provide the tenant we intend to log into. So I've got this -- tenant, and I'm going to quickly just swipe to my Microsoft Azure and go to the Microsoft Entra ID, which is known as the Azure Active Directory in the past. I'm going to copy this tenant ID, come back here, and I'm going to make sure you have a space after this tenant. So you want to right click and press enter. So this is going to ask you to authenticate. So you need to pick your account and authenticate, as you can see on the left hand side. So I'm going to quickly do that and carry on. And there we go, retrieving subscription for the selection. So you can see I've got the name of my subscription, which is Cornerstone Analytics subscription, and of course I can see the subscription ID and the tenant ID. So we have this to deal with. Select a subscription and tenant. So I can use either press enter or just type in one to just get past this. So let's use the AZ account show command. So this is going to show the active subscription. So I can see quite a lot of information here. You have the environment name, home tenant ID, and so on and so forth. So we are good to go. Now, in order for you to see what's going on, I'm going to use the clear command to clear the content of my terminal. So what I'm going to do next is to go ahead and create a service principal, which is required to provide Terraform with the access credentials. So I'm going to use this command and walk you through. So basically, we have this AZ, and then we have this AD for the Active Directory, and then we have this SP for Service Principal, and then we are creating for role-based access control, and then we have this role that is the contributor role, and I'm going to provide the scope, and it's going to be within our subscription, and then I can see my subscription ID here. So just go ahead and press enter, and then the service principal will be created. So you can see creating contributor role assignment under scope, and we can see this being created in my subscription, and then we can see the app ID, which is this ID here, and then we can see the display. This is going to be the name of the service principal, Azure CLI, and we can see the password generated and the tenant. Now I'm going to destroy all of this after the end of this video, but let's just understand what has happened based on this service principal creation in the Microsoft Azure portal. Let's come back here, and I'm going to, I'm here. So let me just refresh, and we can go to the app registrations, and then when I come to the all apps, I can see the Azure CLI. So this is exactly the name that we've just seen here, the display name. Okay, and then I can click on that rather, and then we can go to the certificate and secrets, and then we can see the client secret created automatically. So this is the value. So when you look at this and you compare with this password, we can see that they correlate. So we have the secret created automatically as soon as the service principal is created. So this simply means Terraform now have the needed permission in order to be able to access the resources in the Microsoft Azure, and that is cool. So I'm going to just go ahead and use the clear command, and I will clear this. So we want to go ahead and issue the Terraform Init to prepare the working directory for other commands I'm going to be issuing later on. So let's go ahead and type in Terraform Init and press enter. So this is going to start initializing the backend, initializing provider plugins, and then when you look at it, you can see the folder structure has grown to include two more files. So we have this Terraform, and then we have this .terraform.log.hcl. So at the bottom, we can see Terraform has been successfully initialized. So you may now begin working with Terraform. Try running Terraform Plan to see any changes that are required for your infrastructure. All Terraform commands should now work if you ever set or change modules or backend configuration for Terraform. We ask to rerun this command to reinitialize our working directory. If you forget, other commands will detect it and remind you to do so if necessary. So we have the Terraform working. Let's go ahead and again clear the content of the terminal. So we want to go ahead and issue the Terraform Validate to validate the syntax of the Terraform configuration we have in the main.tf. So let's go ahead and use Terraform Validate, and I'm going to press enter. Okay, so let me just move this up a little bit so that we can see what's going on. So we can see success, the configuration is valid. So we are happy to go because we want to make sure that we validate before we go ahead and deploy our plans or resources. So after that, we can issue the Terraform plan to run the actions that Terraform would take to deploy the configurations and the resource, that is the creation of the resource group. So let's go ahead and issue the Terraform plan, and I'm going to press enter, and then we just wait for some couple of moments, and we will see the plan that the Terraform would use. All right, so we can see the plan. Let's just move up a little bit. So Terraform will perform the following actions. Azure RM resource group.rg will be created. This is going to be the name, Terraform RG demo, and then this is going to be in the UK South region. And once we're happy, we can move to the next, which is plan. 1 to add, 0 to change, and 0 to destroy. So I can go on and clear the content of this terminal. Now I'm going to issue the Terraform Apply to deploy the configuration and resources that we want to create, which in this case is this resource group. So let's go ahead and issue Terraform Apply and press enter. So you can say as soon as we issue the Terraform Apply, again, this folder structure has grown and you can always look into them, but let's just say the final solution. So this is going to take maybe some couple of time depending on the specific resource we are trying to create. All right, so we can say Terraform use the selected providers to generate the following execution plan. Resource actions are indicated with the following symbol, create, and we just want to come down to the bottom and then we can issue the final command. Do you want to perform these actions? Terraform will perform the actions described above, this creation of the resource group. So I can just type in yes. As you can see, only yes will be accepted to approve. So if we type no, this is going to destroy the creation. Once we type in yes, then we have given the instruction to perform the creation of that specific resource. And then we just wait for a couple of moments and they're going to say success, and then we can go to the Azure portal to confirm the creation of the resource group. All right, amazing. So we can see apply complete resources. One has been added, and then we can come to the Azure portal and let me just go back and let me set for the resource group, and we're going to set for that. Yeah, again, let me just check the name. Yeah, Terraform RG demo. Let me just copy this and search for that here. Press enter and there we go. The Terraform RG demo resource group has now been created. So we don't have any other resources. So we want also provision storage accounts inside this resource group. So I'm going to come back to my VS Code and I'm going to come to the main. So in the main, let's just create a different block of code here. So let's call this on create storage account. And I'm going to use this basically. So we have this resource and then we have this Azure RM. So we want to create storage account resource. And then I'm going to call this one storage account. And then I'm going to provide a name for the storage account. I'm going to call this one Terraform Cornerstone 1. Again, this must be unique and it should be available for you to use because globally you must have a unique storage account. So I think this should be fine. And then we also need to determine which resource group will hold this storage account we intend to create. So we want to store that inside this RG. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to just select this and Ctrl+Shift+L and Ctrl+V. So this simply means that the name is going to be the name of the resource group here, and then the location is going to be the UK South that we provided. And then for the account tier, we're just going to use the standard, and then for the account replication type, we just want to use GRS. So you can use based on your requirements. And then for the tags, I'm going to just call this one my demo storage account using Terraform. And once that is sorted, I can go ahead and save all. So that is saved. And let's come here and issue the Terraform Validate because we want to make sure that everything is correct before we issue the Terraform Apply. So let's see what happened. Do you want to perform these actions? Let me see. Yeah, this has been validated successfully. Yeah, we want to go ahead. So let's issue the Terraform Apply to deploy the new resource, which is the storage account. So we can see again something has changed in this folder structure, and we just want to wait for some couple of moments, and then we're going to just see the newly created Terraform Cornerstone 1 storage accounts. All right, so we need to issue the final command. Yes, we want to go ahead and create the storage account. So I'm just going to type in yes. All right, so we can say apply complete. One resource is now added. Amazing. So let's quickly come here and check it out. So all I need to do is just click on this refresh and bam, we have the Terraform Cornerstone. Let's forget about the naming, it's incorrect. So this has now been created and there we go. Amazing. So this is just an Azure Blob Storage account, not an hierarchical namespace enabled. That is the ADLS. So we have the storage account created. So I'm going to come back to the VS Code and let's do the big one. Let's deploy Databricks Workspace. So I'm going to call this one create Databricks, Azure Databricks Workspace. And for that, I'm going to use this code. All right. So again, this is going to preempt. We want to create a resource group first. So I'm going to get rid of this. And the resource name is going to be Databricks Workspace. And let's call this one Databricks Workspace. You can use whatever you like here. And then we're going to provide a name. So let's call this one Terraform Databricks Workspace. And that's going to be the name. And again, we need to provide the resource group name. I'm going to call this one RG, what we used earlier on. And then I want to also call this one RG. So we want to store this resource in the UK South location, unlike what we've done. And then we can give the tags. Let's call this one my demo Databricks Workspace. And once we have this done, so you can see that we've actually increased the content in this main.tf configuration file. So once we have everything sorted, I can again click on the file and then use the save all. And once that is done, I can come here and use the Terraform. Well, let's just go ahead and clear this first. So let's use the clear and let's call the Terraform Validate, because it's a good idea to validate before you deploy or apply. So let's click on this and let's check it out. So this succeeded. So now when you create Databricks Workspace, naturally it takes time before it is fully deployed in the UI. So the same thing applies in the Terraform. It takes a while. So I'm going to issue the Terraform. Now this is not going to recreate the resource group and the storage account. It's just going to create the latest resource we intend to deploy, which is the workspace. So let's go ahead and type in Terraform Apply, and again I'm going to issue the yes command, and then we're going to wait for a while. All right, we're still going to see this still creating because it's going to take a while. I'm not sure why, but let's just go ahead and check it out. It's already created, I believe. So I'm going to come back to the resource group we deployed, which is the Terraform RG demo, and click on that, and I can see the Terraform Databricks Workspace created in the UK South region. So when I click on that, and we have the Databricks created. So of course we can, upgrade to premium from the Terraform, but again, this is just to show you how we can deploy Databricks Workspace using the Terraform. So I'm going to quickly just come here so that we don't have to waste too much of time. I'm going to use Ctrl C to just step in. So I just, stop what's going on, and then we can use the Terraform destroy if we intend to delete all the resources we initial or provisioned. So I'm going to just use the Terraform destroy, and this is going to go through the page and ask me to confirm. And then once I confirm, and within about 5 minutes or less, all those resources will be pulled down completely. So we can see what's going on. Azure storage account, and this has been destroyed. And so we can see destroy complete, and we've got resources 1 destroyed. So let's just go to the Azure portal and confirm. So I'm going to come here and let me set for the resource groups. And when I set for the Terraform, you can see we don't have anything like Terraform resource RG demo, so everything has been destroyed. All right, so this is the end of this end-to-end introduction to deploying resources in Microsoft Azure using the Terraform Infrastructure-as-Code tool. I trust you enjoyed this video. If you do, please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel because there's a lot to come on Terraform across Databricks and of course across other cloud providers like AWS and GCP. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.